Well, that's the situation in eThekwini around the strike. Meanwhile, people in Randburg and Blegari and Joburg now been without water for 10 days. In eThekwini, in Verulam, people there have been without water for nearly 3 months. 3 weeks ago, the city said it would miss a deadline to fix water problems there. It turned out the city didn't even know where all of the infrastructure that needed to be maintained actually was. Now residents in Verulam say they're going to the United Nations to try and get some relief. Roshan Lil-Ruthan is the spokesperson of the Verulam Water Crisis Committee. Roshan, good afternoon to you. You've spoken to the Mayor, you've spoken to the Water Affairs Minister, you've spoken to the Human Rights Commission in South Africa. You still don't have water. What do you think the United Nations might be able to do?
Well, good afternoon, Stephen, and to your viewers. You're quite correct. As a community, we've knocked every possible door that needed to be knocked, literally until our fingers are bleeding, trying to beg and plead for assistance for a very desperate community on the north of Durban. And the reason I say north of Durban, we're sitting now with residents about 150,000 without water now, going on to 4 months. And some areas are getting erratic supplies, some none at all. And we have a daily situation where we are living off water tankers. That's when they do come. Presently, as you're aware, the eThekwini municipality is experiencing a labor strike by a particular trade union. And that has now had a dire ripple effect on the society that I come from, where tankers are not being dispatched because of a fear for attacks, fear for reprisals on employees that are manning these tankers, or even employees that are controlling the water supply. A lot of threats are being communicated to these employees. As a result, many of them are not reporting for work. So we as a committee have decided that we will report this now to the United Nations, and we have done so. This morning at 9 a.m., I received a telephone call from the regional coordinator and head of the UN in South Africa, Mr. Nelson Mafu. And our conversation led to the correspondence that I had previously submitted to the United Nations. And at this time, I drawn to his particular attention that the UN as well has been dilatory in responding to a humanitarian crisis. So in the morning's conversation, he assured me that he personally escalated the matter to Geneva, and he's asked for urgent intervention in the humanitarian crisis. So I'm now hopeful that indeed there has been communication from the United Nations, and I've been advised that they are going to pay heed to the call of the community of Verulam. But Stephen, I just want to share, Karinda just aired a short snippet of what's going on in central Durban. That's just one tiny part of what's going on. This crisis has spread throughout literally the entire eThekwini municipality jurisdiction. On any given day, majority of the municipality is either without electricity, and if you don't have electricity, I just want to state that the water pumps in the reservoirs don't function. So they work hand in glove. And the situation is such that many of these areas, like the hostel that you just watched, doesn't get water. And it's a large community in that hostel. And you can imagine today being averaging temperatures in Durban 39 degrees, some places as high as 42 degrees Celsius. It's a recipe for disaster. Hence I say it was an opportune thing for us to do, is to now engage the United Nations, Stephen.
Do you believe, and I understand the strategy in drawing attention to your situation, I have no problem with that, but do you think the United Nations will really be able to do anything? I mean, the city can't do it, national government can't do it, our Human Rights Commission can't do it. Do you think the UN can do anything?
Stephen, if you look at their responses internationally, and I've gone through their website, one of it is, in fact, to respond to humanitarian crises. And they have a corps on their own, whether it's a military corps, whether it's a humanitarian corps, whether it's a call to bring in food or any other relief. They have experts in regards to engineering, and they can bring those experts here to South Africa or apply the necessary pressure. Remember, South Africa is a member state to the United Nations, and they are obliged to adhere to all aspects of the code by being a member to the United Nations. And one of it is to ensure that you are not found wanting with human rights violations as a member. And it is evident that the South African government, through the municipality, through the leadership in the municipality, including central government and the provincial government, have dismally failed us and have trodden upon the rights of our citizens as contained in the Constitution. Now, one of the rights is to provide us with safe drinking water. If I show you videos and photographs of what is coming through our taps or what is being delivered through tankers, I've sent it to your reporter, Karinda. Maybe in one of the programs she can put it up. And some of the water is as dark as black coffee. And you expect the residents to drink that. You can't even boil that to try and consume it. And we've asked for water tests. We've asked for site testing to be done where the tankers are pulling the water from so that we can assure our residents and our community that the water being delivered to their homes is safe. And one thing I want to state, Stephen, is that it is a international standard that must be met for the quality of water, besides the South African national standards that has to be met. And if one of the water providers is not meeting those standards, it's a criminal conduct that needs to be investigated. And I believe that, we are doing everything as a community, everything as a committee, the Verulam Water Crisis Committee, to get help for our community. And I believe that with the international pressure now, that help would come. If help doesn't come, we are in a fix.
The city at one point said it would fix things, and then it didn't. And it missed that deadline. And I know the Minister, Senator Mkhunu, was looking at them. Has there been any indication since then of whether they'll even try and fix things in the future?
Well, I have been liaising with the Minister's office. I understand the Minister is himself busy on the campaign trail and has been busy there. But I have been liaising with his direct advisor and office. And he's actually quite irate that all the measures that he's put in place in eThekwini in regards to eThekwini water services via Umgeni Utukela all seems to have been undone as soon as he left KwaZulu-Natal and left our community, where he hosted a summit advising people that these are the work that has been done on the system. It seems that 2 days after he left our community, everything was reversed. And this morning, I had a telephone conference with the very senior officials in eThekwini Water, and I asked them a very simple question, that we have 3 major reservoirs in our area. They get their water from the Phoenix 4 and Phoenix 5 reservoirs in the aqueduct from Durban Heights, which is known as the Northern Aqueduct. Why is it only these 3 reservoirs that struggle to get any water whatsoever? And they cannot give me an answer. So I asked them, what is the engineering explanation you have? And they don't answer. So in the last 24 hours, our community hasn't had water. We've been asking constantly for a plausible explanation as to where is the water going. I then contacted the COO of Umgeni Utukela, and I asked him, are you supplying the required megaliters as per the service level agreement to eThekwini, or whether it has dropped? And he's indicated to me unequivocally that they have not dropped any supply, that in fact they've increased their supply to eThekwini. So where is this water going to? It is definite that water is being throttled to the Verulam area and its surrounding suburbs. It is not an engineering problem, Stephen. This is a deliberate frustration to the community through an act of sabotage by officials, because there is no other explanation. The minister said, and he was advised, that 6 valves needed to be replaced. Those 6 valves were replaced. When the minister came to Verulam, we had capacity reservoirs. So why is it when the minister visits Verulam, everything is done to ensure that there's capacity? When he leaves, it gets undone. So it's not an engineering problem. It's a manipulation of the system. In the human rights meeting, Stephen, I just want to say to you, last week, we were invited as the Verulam Water Crisis Committee to address the South African Human Rights Commission at what was called a town hall meeting at Howard College in UKZN. And I addressed the House on behalf of the Verulam Water Crisis Committee. And 10 minutes before the meeting, I received a phone call from a whistleblower who wanted to remain anonymous. And he told me that if we go to a particular chamber at the Mount View Reservoir, we will find that it has been chained and it has been locked, and that particular valve prevents water from going to over 3,000 homes. And I confronted the municipality and the leadership that was present at the Human Rights Commission. The CEO, Vusumuzi Mkhize, then gave a directive from the podium to say, eThekwini, go with Mr. Lil-Ruthan and make sure this valve is open. No community should suffer above any other community. I'm still waiting, Stephen, for the eThekwini to respond to the directive of the Human Rights Commission CEO. Sure. So they don't take these directives seriously. And Roshan, I just want to say something, Stephen, before you go, that right now, as I'm sitting here, that lock and that chain is still there. Another senior official phoned me and said it is still locked. So that is sabotage, Stephen.
Roshan Lil-Ruthan, thank you. Spokesperson for the Verulam Water Crisis Committee. All right.